You are listening to the New American Media.
Live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles to be specific. You're not getting the office address. That should suffice. Welcome to our split show here on the Unhappy Hour on the TNAM Radio Network, part of the NewAmericanMedia.com. If you're listening after the fact, you have no idea that we just spoke with NBA scout Zach Barris, but we're going to thank him anyway. If you are listening live, fantastic, good times, rock and roll. Follow him on Twitter at ZBarris, that's Z-B-A-R-I-S. If you want all the NBA action, we talked about Andrew Bynum signing with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And coming up on our next program, that's called Agree to Disagree, we're going to have Liberty journalist Ben Swan. He's on his way toward raising, what is the goal, $1.25 million to launch his new network. We're going to talk about that and a whole bunch of other issues with Ben Swan coming up. That will be 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific. All right, a couple of quick notes, real quick. Want you to make sure that you're following us on Twitter. We're at American_media_. Search the New American Media on Facebook and like our page. Thank you to everybody for helping us surpass, eclipse, pole vault over top of 100,000 video views on YouTube over at youtube.com/the New American Media. Go by, leave some comments, click subscribe, share with your friends, embed on your Facebook pages. Join the conversation because you are the New American Media. It's not about me. It's not about special guest co-host Helena VanZandbergen. Hello, Helena. You're ridiculously quiet, my dear.
I will be.
All right. Yeah, you're kind of. Except you're going to get a little louder now. So welcome to the program.
Hi.
Hey, so we have a special guest in studio. That's obviously Helena VanZandbergen, one of our contributors at the TNAM Health section of the NewAmericanMedia.com. We're going to be expanding a whole bunch of stuff on our website, so please stay tuned, and we're sending out her tweets. Hey, what's your Twitter handle, by the way?
Red Headquarters.
Red Headquarters.
Yes.
Okay. So follow her, Red Headquarters, at Red Headquarters. But we also have another special guest. This one is going to be joining us by telephone. This is cool. Corey Cogdell, 2008 women's trap shooting Olympic bronze medalist. You know, on a day where we're talking about, I mean, you can't turn on the channel or listen to the radio or flip through the TV channels, rather, or scroll through the radio without hearing about George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin, the role of self-defense and the Second Amendment and the role of guns. Well, here's a girl who's out there winning Olympic medals. I'm curious to get her take, maybe not specifically on the details of that case, but maybe what it means to be a girl in a boy's world, if you will. But in my experience, I've gone to the shooting range a lot of times with a lot of cool chicks. Helena, yourself included, I believe.
Birthday.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're overdue for that. But no, I'm interested in talking to Corey, getting her thoughts on just the whole competition in general, what it means about just all of it. I'm really excited. So I'll tell you what, without me rambling anymore, let's just get Corey onto the program, shall we?
Hello.
Corey, it's Brian Engelman with the NewAmericanMedia.com, along with special guest host Helena VanZandbergen. You're live on the air. How you doing today?
I'm great. How are you guys?
I'm living the dream.
Good. We're doing good.
Me too.
Yay.
It kind of sounds like it. You're out there getting Olympic medals and doing your thing. Let's kind of start from scratch, shall we? Because a lot of our listeners are big Second Amendment supporters, so they're into guns, but the world of competitive shooting is something a little bit different. Can you maybe start us from scratch, how you got into this in the first place, and a little bit of your journey to where you are today?
Absolutely. Well, I'm originally from Alaska, so I grew up hunting and fishing with my dad, and he got my sister and I both started shooting at a really young age. We were probably just 3 or 4 years old when he put our first BB guns in our hands.
Nice.
And at that point, we just both really fell in love with, shooting and the outdoor sports. And I was really fortunate through a local homeschool program when I was 14 to get involved in shotgun shooting. So that's really how I got my introduction to the shotgun sports. And, it just really went quickly from there. I started competing at a local level and started winning. And then shortly after that, I found out that shooting was an Olympic sport and decided I really needed to, give it a try and see if I was any good at it. And about two years after I started the Olympic style of shooting sports, I won my first Olympic medal.
Yeah, winning a medal. Let me ask you, where is your medal? Do you wear it around like out on dates, or do you just like cruise up to the grocery store?
No, I don't. Right after I won it, I did wear it pretty much everywhere and kept it pretty close to me. But now I keep it in my gun safe most of the time, keep it safe. And then, keep it with me when I travel and do appearances and whatnot. But I do it every now and then, just take it out of the safe and look at it and remind myself about, that special moment.
Now that one was for a 2008 bronze medal. Do I understand that correctly?
That's correct. Yep.
That's so cool. I just to walk around with one of those, I would love that. My brother, he's a member of the New American Media as well. He's the one that contacted you, helping out in a role of producer. And he had a specific question for you. I just want to jump to that one because I find it interesting. Your competition shotgun. He's explained that this is of similar value to a certified pre-owned automobile. So can you
that is true. My first shotgun was more expensive than my first car. So
nice.
My current shotgun is definitely more expensive than probably the average person's car. So it is pretty valuable. I carry insurance on it just like I would an automobile. So
absolutely. Well, let me ask you about this too, because the AR-15, any of these, there's been so much drama raised over the Second Amendment after some of these horrible shootings. Is this an area that you shoot in as well? Obviously, shotgun is kind of your wheelhouse, but do you get into all types of firearms? And do you have any particular thoughts on, what seems to be an attack on certain types of guns that to me, I just don't really understand? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I definitely participate in all different kinds of shooting sports. I love, to shoot rifles and pistols as well. I have my concealed carry permit. I strongly believe in, personal protection. As far as, this debate about AR-15s,
Right.
I think that probably the number one unfortunate thing about this debate is that there's a lot of people that just aren't educated on, the abilities and capacity of the average AR-15. Everyone continues to talk about fully automatic weapons. And first of all, AR-15s that are sold to the general public are not fully automatic. And, you have to go through strenuous background checks and get, certified to own a fully automatic weapon. So, I think it's unfortunate that we haven't been able to educate the general public a little bit more so that, they can become more comfortable that, AR-15s are not that much different than your average hunting rifle. And in fact, I think AR-15s are one of the most user-friendly rifles to shoot. They're great for, small-framed people that, can't absorb a lot of recoil,
Right.
Like women. And I think that they have a lot of great uses, but we really just need to continue to try and educate people in this debate that we're having.
I would agree with that. And talking about the debate that we're having, in the news right now, you can't flip through any radio station or any television without hearing about George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin. And, there are many components to the case, so I'm not going to specifically ask you about that because, I haven't sat in the courtroom for 16 days myself. But talk to me a little bit about your thoughts on the Second Amendment and the right to be able to conceal carry. That's something that you have a pretty strong opinion on, the right to defend yourself, right?
Absolutely. I think it's so important that we maintain our right to defend ourselves. I think if you look at any of the countries that have strong firearms laws, that have banned firearms, that, for instance, Australia, the crime rate went up 25%, and gun crimes went up 25% after Australia took away, all the firearms there. And that's simply because bad people will always find a way to do bad things, and they'll always find a way to get guns. And all you're doing is disarming, law-abiding citizens that are trying to protect themselves and their family. And I think that is a fact that is, widely overlooked in this unfortunate debate that we're having to have over, firearms, protecting ourselves and our families and our houses.
Well, yeah, they say that the only thing that's ever going to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Or in your case, a good girl with a gun.
I completely agree. I would imagine that, if I was a criminal and I knew that there was absolutely no gun in a house I was looking to break into, that just gives me so much more incentive to break into that house and possibly, harm anyone that would stand in my way of getting what I wanted. So I think that, if that ever does happen, I think we'll see the same trends that we've seen from many other countries, that the crime rate will go up, murder with other weapons will go up, and, it's just like the struggle that we're having in America with obesity. The fork doesn't make the person fat, and the gun doesn't kill the person. It's the person behind the gun. It's the person behind the fork, and that's something that I think is widely overlooked.
Well, you talked about the criminal thinking about if they knew if there was a gun in a home, and recently there have been places that have published where all the concealed carry or the weapons permits are at, so it identifies all the people with guns and the people without guns, and people want to go get what they want. I didn't want to sell you short here, and I want to bounce back to this and make sure, because you went out and got what you wanted. I said you got your bronze medal with the 2008 Olympics. I also have, let's see if I have some of this, 2009 National Championships first place, 2012 ISSF World Cup Tucson Women's Trap gold medalist. You recently tied a world record shooting 75 out of 75 targets July 5th. What else am I missing out here? I don't want to sell you too short with just this Olympics thing. That was 4 or 5 years ago.
Well, you did a pretty good job there. Like you said, I'm a national champion. I have 4 World Cup medals, the most recent from last week, where I did shoot a perfect score of 75 straight. I guess the only reason why you can't beat a Olympic record is when the Olympic record is perfect. So they don't give you any extra targets to try and break the Olympic or break the world record. So that's probably one of my now most proudest moments. The second woman in the world to ever shoot a perfect score in competition. So well,
perfect is pretty tough to beat, and what do they say? Close is only good in horseshoes and hand grenades. I guess
that's right.
With the shotgun, close enough will knock the pigeon out of the air. But no, I wanted to ask you about this too. What it means shooting in a man's world, and that's an unfair way to phrase it. I understand, because like I said in the preview to the show, I go shooting with a lot of girls, a lot of women that I know, and it's fantastic, because I think everybody should understand how firearms work and how to defend ourselves. But I mean, predominantly, your world, your sport, what percentage would you say is men versus women, and what has your experience been like, kind of being an awesome shot coming from where you're at? I mean, what's that experience been like?
Well, I would definitely say that I do compete in a sport that is primarily male dominated, and it's definitely one of the sports that actually I believe men and women should definitely be able to compete equally. One of the great things about the shooting sports is that you don't have to have a tremendous amount of physical strength. It's mainly mental strength and visual acuity, and we can pretty much play on a level playing field with the men on that. It has been really interesting growing up in the shooting sports. When I shot in 4-H, we were allowed to compete against the guys, and that was always a huge goal of mine when I was competing, was to beat the boys. And I actually used to hand out these little pins when I was like 15 years old, when I would beat one of the guys at the trap range, a little clay target pin that said beat by a girl. And they always just, thought it was too funny. But as far as the Olympic shooting sports, unfortunately, we're not allowed to compete against the men anymore. We used to compete against the men, and actually that all came to a screeching halt when in the Olympics a Chinese woman actually beat all the men. And then they decided to separate us because some of the men didn't like being beat by a girl too much. But, all in all, it's just a great sport to compete in, whether I get to compete against the men or not. I definitely compete against my male teammates, and they make me that much better, just trying to get to their level.
Yeah, last time a couple times ago, rather, I was out at the shooting range, and it was everyone had their shotguns out, and we're going at it. And I mean, I don't know who this person was. This was back in Ohio, and this girl was just lights out Annie Oakley style. They were having like a little mini competition. I don't know how serious it was, but they were organized and they had their act together. And she was. I didn't see her miss, and I saw a lot of guys over there just kind of grumbling under their breath, like, "Oh man, I can't believe I'm missing," and she's getting these. No, it's really interesting. And I wanted to ask you about this though too. Hunting for food, for sport, safari. What are your thoughts on all of these other options? Because obviously we know the sporting reference. Okay, go out there and compete. It's a game of skill. We also know self-defense. Yes, that's a God-given right. Government can't take that away from us. But then there's the whole other side, the hunting for fun, for food. Thoughts on all of that? Because I know you've recently caught some flack over some safari stuff. I just want to give you a chance to talk about all of that in general.
Absolutely. Well, like I said earlier, I grew up in Alaska, and my dad hunted to feed our family. I probably didn't even taste beef until I was a teenager, and we moved closer into town. So, I grew up hunting for food, and I think that that's a really important part in a lot of people's lives. I enjoy hunting. I enjoy being out in nature and really have a great appreciation for nature and the animals in it. I think that one of the I guess misunderstandings that a lot of people have about quote unquote trophy hunting is that I personally make sure that all the animals that I do take, if I am not able to, take the meat home with me, that it does go to family in need. Most people that hunt in Africa and know about safari hunting, it brings a tremendous amount of revenue into these very, very poor places. And we have so many areas that are overpopulated with animals, and if number one, if we didn't bring that revenue into the country, there'd be a lot of really starving, hurting people, and a lot of animals dying purely from starvation. There's only so much food in areas, if these animals are not taken out of it. So I think that hunters play a tremendous role and a very important role in maintaining animal population, as well as bringing revenue into a lot of places that don't have a lot of other jobs for people. And I know personally the animals that I took in Africa did go to several villages, and those villages depend on hunters for their food. So, I definitely do not support, any kind of animal cruelty. I don't kill animals just purely for the fun of it. Don't think any kind of torture of animals is right in any way, but I think hunting plays a very important part in our culture, in our history, and in the community.
We have a couple minutes left. I wanted to ask you this a couple of minutes ago, and I just made a note because we got talking about something else. Do you engage in any Annie Oakley's? It got me just kind of thinking. Do you do any trick shooting? Do you have any shots up your sleeve? Do you mess around with stuff, or do you try any of that?
I do mess around a little bit. That's actually something that I've kind of started taking up this year, and really want to learn how to do more of the showy stuff. I love shooting Annie Oakley's. I love playing the classic shotgun shooting games, and I'm not an expert at the trick shooting yet, but I'm working on that. That's maybe my next skill to pick up.
Yeah, I like how you said yet. I love that. I always love when people are like, oh, I'm not good at that, and I always add yet. Yet. Yeah, well, you have a
Well,
breath. You have a chance.
anyone in professional sports, I think you'll find that no one likes being bad at anything. So if you're bad at it, you usually practice until you get good at it, or you quit.
I think those are usually the two options there. I tend to, if I actually care and I'm interested, I really jump in. I jump into the deep water, and it's like, I'm going to grab onto something, I'm going to thrash around, I'm going to figure out how to swim because I really like this. And that's kind of what we've done at the New American Media for about 2.5 years now. Just, you know what, I'm jumping in. We're going to figure it out. We're going to have a good time. And it's been a few good years. But, you know, one of the things about shooting, it's not like you can get a pair of basketball shoes and you can get a basketball and you go to the local park, you know, so a limited expense. You know, you buy a pair of shoes, $100, you get a basketball, $30, and then it's just a matter of you dribbling the ball and shooting some hoops and working on your moves. Shooting is very expensive. Can you talk about how difficult it was for you to break in with the cost ramifications of a very expensive sport, what that does, almost like golf, how it's very expensive to get the gear and to pay all the fees to get out there. Can you just talk about the whole experience? Because, I mean, Joe Q. Public or myself, I guess that's John Q. Public. Anyway, whoever that Joe or John person is, it's expensive, and heck, you're going to half the stores now, and there's a run on ammo. You can't even get what you want in certain markets. Just talk about that in general, the prohibitions and the costliness of the sport and the average person's ability to defend themselves when the prices are going through the roof because of demand.
Absolutely. Well, like you said, it is a very expensive sport. Actually, shooting is the second most expensive sport, equestrian being the first.
Ah, okay.
You know, they have $1 million horses. We don't have $1 million shotguns.
Hold on. Let me ask you something. Corey, let me ask, is equestrian more expensive than yachting?
I think probably so. I think once you buy the yacht, you're kind of pretty much set. But, you know, you still got to feed the horse. You don't really have to feed the yacht so much.
Fair enough. And I think the most dangerous sport was a book I read called, what was it, The Most Dangerous Game, where they actually hunted people. Anyway, that was a goofy thing from high school. But yeah, so it is expensive. So how did you battle through those challenges as you worked your way up? You know, through competition, and what is your advice to kids that are getting interested in this on their side that are just looking at it saying, I could never afford it, I'm done? Do you have any advice for the kids?
Absolutely. Well, you know, I came from a family that was not extremely privileged. You know, my mom passed away when I was young, and my dad retired to stay home with me and my sister. So at the age of 14, I started working almost a full-time job when I wasn't at school. So, you know, I worked really hard to, you know, pay for the shooting sports because I just had such a strong desire. My dad and I would also sit at home on weeknights and reload our own ammunition. You know, you can save a lot of money when you reload your own stuff. And, you know, we had our reloader set up in our living room, and we'd watch TV and reload a couple hundred rounds so that I could go and train the next day. So, you know, I think for kids, you know, if you really want something, you're going to have to work for it, and you will be so much of a better person for it. I'm so grateful that I have had to work as hard as I have, and when you come out on the other side and you have some success, you know, I've been very, very fortunate to now pick up quite a few sponsors. Cabela's has been one of my sponsors for many years, as well as Creek Off shotguns. Fortunately, I haven't had to pay for my very, very expensive shotgun. But, you know, if you work hard for it, you're going to have success on the other side of it, and try and save money where you can. You know, ask your local gun club if they'll give you a discount on targets. You know, talk to all the old guys at the range. I guarantee you they have the lowdown on the best prices for shells and reloading supplies. So, you know, just do your research, look around a lot, and you can do it for relatively inexpensive.
Two quick questions before we let you go here, Corey. Let me ask you, if you weren't doing this professionally, what would you be doing right now?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, you know, I've always had a strong passion for real estate, and I've done some real estate investing in the last couple of years, and I think I'd probably be a realtor. I really have a lot of interest in that, and you know, who knows? I have thought about that many times. Where would my life be without shooting? But I can't imagine it without shooting.
You know, maybe you could get Century 21 to endorse you with a hat or something.
Right.
That'd be pretty sweet out on the competition trail. No, but no, it's been good. I would like to bring you back to chat about some stuff. You know, anytime we just do the sports show here, and we're branching out into different sports, obviously. And over here, we're very all about the liberty movement and the right for self-defense and the Second Amendment. So I mean, you're one of the perfect guests because I love blending sports and politics together. And I kind of let you off easy. I didn't really push you too much on the Second Amendment or the Zimmerman stuff, which I think is fair. But I think most people, I think we do need to get up off the couch because kind of like you said a minute ago. Some people have an elliptical machine or a stationary bicycle while they watch TV. That's a good use of your time, not sitting on your ass. You were actually reloading ammunition with your father. Multitask, do something, and like you said to the kids, if you want something, go out and work hard for it. Those are some of the ideals that we have here at the New American Media, and I got to tell you, I mean, from across the board, you seem to be checking off a lot of the boxes. You seem to be one of our people, Corey.
Well, thank you. Well, I just really appreciate, what you guys are doing and taking the time to, fight for our freedoms and our liberty and trying to educate people more about, what's going on in our country and not just turning a blind eye like I think so many people do and just ignoring the issue and saying that, someone in Washington will take care of it. It lands on our shoulders to fight for our freedoms and, to fight for the things that our country was founded upon.
Absolutely. Corey, in our remaining moments here, can you give out some information on the websites where they can stay in touch with you through social media, any special projects that you're working on?
Absolutely. I'm just getting my website up and running. It's going to be at CoreyCogdell.com. I do a lot of stuff on Twitter, post a lot of fun videos and pictures on there, and my handle on there is at Corey Cogdell. And then you can find me on Facebook as well. I have a fan page that I try and post a lot of fun stuff on as well. And you can just search Corey Cogdell fan page and follow all my fun adventures.
Hey, you know what? I want to tell you this real quick. Thank you for joining us, by the way, but you just reminded me of something. I had to look it up. Here's a little story. You mentioned about Washington, and we'll leave with this. This is called Not My Job. Once upon a time, there were 4 people. Their names were everybody, somebody, nobody, and anybody. Whenever there was an important job to be done, everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. When nobody did it, everybody got angry because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought that somebody would do it, but nobody realized that nobody would do it. So consequently, everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have done in the first place. And I think you're spot on with that, Corey. I like that Alaskan rugged go get 'em and just maintain maximum liberty attitude. And it's been a pleasure having you on the program today, Corey. We'll have to do this again.
Absolutely. Well, it's my pleasure, and God bless you guys. Have a good night.
You as well. Thank you, Corey. She's cool. Helena.
Yes.
Helena, she's awesome.
Yeah, she was. She is.
She was and she is.
She is.
What's that Mitch Hedberg joke? I do drugs. No, was it? I do. No, I used to do drugs. I still do, but I used to too. No, she was cool and she is cool. I think we'll bring her back on. Yes. I just love anybody that's liberty minded. Just that rugged individualist. Go get them. Make it happen. Well, I'll tell you what we got to make happen. We're going to have special guest Ben Swan on the program in just a couple of minutes. We'll be right back on the other side, transitioning from the unhappy hour over to Agree to Disagree. Just a moment, folks. We'll be right back.